Okay. topic of our talk 3 today is Future of Inclusive Design, Making Spaces Accessible for All. 我们接下来第3个讲座也马上开始，然后第3个讲座的题目呢是包容性设计的未来，为每个人打造可达空间。And please let me welcome our moderator today, Vicky Sun from Area 17, the Manager Director and Partner. 有请。
Thank you very much. So now it's my turn to invite my panelists to come on the stage. Please welcome Dr. Li Linqing. Welcome. Thank you. Yes, you can just stay there. Okay, Mr. John Lato. He's also an associate professor in Xi'an Jiaotong Liverpool University Department of Architecture and Design. And next speaker would be Manuela Corti. We are already familiar with her. She just led her students give such a wonderful presentation of the industrial design. Yeah, you can sit anywhere, it's fine. Just close to your name. Okay. So thank you very much, everybody. Good afternoon. And it's a Friday afternoon, and it's the third talk. Thanks for still staying with us. After the wonderful presentation from the students of Xi'an Jiaotong University, Liverpool University, now it's going to be our panel, a very interesting topic as well. Future of Inclusive Design, Making Spaces Accessible for All. Please allow me to introduce Dr. Li Linqing. He is the General Manager of Umbertex Suzhou Intelligent Technology. He's a founder of Jiangsu Accessible Map, aiming at promoting inclusive design and improving overall urban accessibility in developing countries. He's a person with cerebral palsy, PhD in artificial intelligence, serving as the president of Suzhou Accessible Promoting Association and Unbox. He traveled to 4 continents and more than 20 countries to investigate the up-to-date accessible environment. In 2020, he and his team built the first province full coverage accessibility map in China. And in 2022, guide system for people with disability mounted on accessible city bus fleet in Jiangsu, providing bi-directional communication service for drivers and passengers with disability. That is our Dr. Li Linqing. Welcome.
Thank you, Vicky.
Okay, please allow me to introduce the other 2 professors that thanks for their time to share their wisdom with us this afternoon. I'm going to start with John Lato. He's associate professor in Xi'an Jiaotong Liverpool University Department of Architecture and Design. He's a chartered architect in UK with almost 30 years of experience as a design director, developing a specialism in health and social care design in the UK. He has led numerous significant projects for their strategic and conceptual stages through to successful realization. As Department of Architecture UG Program Director at Xi'an Jiaotong Liverpool University, he is responsible for the coordination of teaching and learning activities. John was elected in 2020 to the China Chapter Council of Royal Institution of British Architects and his education subcommittee lead. In addition, he's a member of the Architects for Health, which focuses on the promotion of research, study, and application of design qualities in our health facilities and cities. In his approach to design, he's fascinated by the evolving dialogue between the human body and architectural space, spanning both physical and digital realms, and strongly advocates that our built environment has a positive impact in our well-being and health, together with how it can enhance the human experience. He has particular interest in inclusive design practice, the neurodiversity. Maurice Merleau-Ponty argued that our perception of space is fundamentally linked to our body experiences and movements. Merleau-Ponty emphasizes the role of the body as perceiving entity, famously stating, "We're in the world as in our body." Merleau-Ponty, 1945. He proposed that our bodily experiences shape our understanding of space, suggesting that architecture should consider this embodied nature of perception to create meaningful spiritual experiences. John seeks to extend his understanding of meaningfulness to include all who experience the architecture. Welcome, Mr. John Latto. That was a long introduction, but it was much necessary. Okay, our last, we're already familiar with the Associate Professor in Xi'an Jiaotong Liverpool University, Industrial Design Department, Professor Emanuela Corti. Thank you again for being here with us. She is a designer, educator, and researcher. She shaped her multifaceted experience between Italy, China, and Arab Emirates, where she has lived for more than a decade. Emanuela is currently a faculty of Xi'an Jiaotong Liverpool University in Suzhou, China. Her research lies on the inclusive and social aspects of design, with a strong emphasis on smart fabrics. She sees design as an innovation tool that has the power to improve people's life. Her work received international awards and European funds. Again, welcome 3 speakers to our panel. And I would like to start with a question to Dr. Li. Dr. Li, as you are the first person who funded the full coverage of accessibility in province Suzhou, China, what was the most challenging thing in promoting inclusive design for you in this process? Would you like to share?
Okay, let me start with how I start up my own career. During my PhD, I majored in computer science, so especially in the artificial intelligence, we are always doing algorithm in deep learning, something like that. And I traveled to more than 20 countries. So I see the people with disabilities there, especially in developed countries, they lived a more free lifestyle than the people with disabilities in China. So when I come back, I start to analyze what's the reason for this. Now, I see we can do something to assist them to live a better life. So I started my company during my PhD, even if I have not graduated. I mean, I hadn't got my PhD degree. The first thing I faced is funding, actually. Yeah. Almost all of us know that the product or technology research is not a commercial thing. I started up my company, and I think I can do, first we do an accessibility map for people to check for example, the nearest accessible toilets, the nearest wheelchair-friendly place, like a restaurant or something. So I met with 2 of my PhD classmates, and we developed the mini program on WeChat. Okay, then we start to think about how to pay for their salaries. Okay, so we always give a speech or attend some conference or lecture or literary something, anything we can find for display ourselves and get some support. After 2 years, we got the very first funding from CDPF Suzhou. So, but actually it's not sustainable. So actually they will not give you fundings every year. So we want to promote our products and try to sell them to other cities, other provinces, and yes, we made some success, but it's far from what we have imagined when we start up that company. So, I mean, the first one is funding. 2, I think there is a lack of professionals in practical accessibility, either in investigation or design or something. We try to find someone that's especially specialized in this field, but we often fail to do so. We search for online for papers in inclusive design, but it's not that directly linked into the industry field. I mean, a lot of things are only academic, but they are not so practical. 2. 3, the last one, is policy making, I think. You know, in the last year, the National Congress passed the accessibility construction law. Yes, it helped a lot for improving the overall accessibility in China. But we see every year a lot of renovation or newly built buildings or public places are being built, but they are still missing the national standards of accessibility. So, I mean, the policymakers have to do more to address this issue. So these are the 3 points I told you about. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Li. What a tough journey, but thank you for your dedication to improve the people with disabilities' life quality, and that's definitely a tough battle. Thanks for sharing with us. Maybe now we try you prepared a VCR. Would you like to? Okay, let's try.
This is a VCR showcases that what we have done in Suzhou City.
400路啊！没听到报站的声音，不敢随便上，不知道是不是我要坐的那趟车。
健全人乘坐公交的日常，对他们来说，更像是一场不确定的冒险。
你有啥不舒服来看病啊？听不懂。
健全人的3言2语，对他们来说，花费加倍的时间也很难。
无法正常的交流，成为我融入社会的最大障碍。
怎么全部拦住了？
健全人眼里一个小小的台阶，对他们来说，可能就是无法逾越的天堑。一个普通的厕所，对他们来说，可能是巨大的不便。
还是在家里吧，不要出去了。
现在有了公交导乘功能，以后出门再也不怕了。
还有没有拉肚子啊？那你这个自己吃药可以的，可以的啊。吃药
有需要随时可以翻译，很方便。
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee, for this video. So now we're gonna go to our next speaker, John. I have a question for you as well. We're gonna come back to you later. Dr. Lee. Okay. This question is addressing to John. How can architectural design be adapted to create more inclusive spaces that cater to the diverse sensory and cognitive needs of neurodiverse individuals?
It's a little bit chicken and egg, because the presentation, I think, gave some of the answers to the question. Because as architects, we're all focused on things called proxemics. We're focused on light, texture, color. And I think when what we've seen in Dr. Steve's presentation is looking at kind of disability in terms of its physical manifestations, like hearing, visual, and so on. What I'm interested in addition to that, is the idea of neurodiversity. For those people who are, not all disabilities are visible. This is the important thing. We need, there is no such thing as a normal person. None of us are normal. We're all abnormal. We all have different things, different perceptions, the way we view space, we view rooms. So when we're thinking about neurodiversity, I'm thinking of people who are dyslexic, maybe autism, OCD. Many architects are probably defined as OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So we need to be much more aware. What my kind of mantra is to try to be considering those issues at the beginning of the design stage, when you're starting to think of the conceptual idea of the design, and not think of it as an afterthought. Oh, we have the legislation we have to achieve, how can we do it? That becomes just a gesture. It becomes a tick box exercise, rather than the principles being embedded. So maybe in the presentation I can expand on it more.
Okay, thank you, John. Extending to the question to the garment industry, as Professor Emanuela, your study was more in smart fabric. There's a question for you as well. How do you envision the role of inclusive garment design evolving in addressing not just the physical barriers, but also psychological and societal perception of disability in fashion?
Well, clothing are commonly empowering people, right? So the idea of developing clothing that are embedding technologies that are becoming more and more invisible also, no? Imagine textile sensors that are detecting vital data of the wearer. So technology somehow is improving the performance of garments that are becoming not just garments, but magic tools somehow to support people. Of course, clothing is not a solution. Clothing is not changing anything, but clothing can empower and can ease daily aspects of your life, basically. Yeah. It has a small role, but I believe for some psychological role or acceptance, it has a very strong impact.
Okay, thank you, Manuela. Dr. Lee, do you have anything to comment on Professor's topics?
Actually, according to what John said just now, I would say from the aspect of design, we usually see very beautiful design in accessibility. But after we see what they have done into reality, we always see some not so perfect construction program. For example, the accessible toilet, the handrails or something, the dimensions, the position to the toilet is not so perfect. So, I mean, there is, from the overall aspect, we still have something to do to ensure how can we perfect the progress from the design into reality? Actually, by the accessibility construction law, there is much more things we can do to ensure this. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Lee, for your comment. Actually, also in interior design world, when we handle a project for the client, in the design brief, usually we don't find the specifications for this option for disabilities. In that case, we also see some changes in certain companies and in some areas. Like you said, Dr. Lee, there are starting points, like there are needs and requirements for this function now in the design brief. So we see that is a very positive direction that we're all heading to. So I'm going to ask you the second question. As also in the previous panel, we saw all the students when they design the products, there are some data and there are some user guidelines with the apps, with digital tools to help users to use the tools. So the second question for you would be, what can digitalize contribute to inclusive design and the case analysis?
Okay. I would say people with disabilities means whether they have hearing impairment or mobility issues or they cannot see clearly. But what the technology can do or digitalize can do is use the up-to-date technologies to help them to be more mobilized or to be more easy to see or easy to hear. So, I mean, I majored in computer science, so I know a lot of things can be done to improve these scenarios, but why we haven't done this so much? I think we can, for example, take our accessibility map, for example. What we have done is just we spot the POI on the map for accessibility facilities over the city, and we find accessible paths to navigate to each of them. But what we can't do is there are always some issue with management. For example, when we check that path to that facility, we see there is a low cut, to the sidewalk. So there is no obstacles. But a few days later, someone put some huge balls to block the bikes or e-bikes from getting in. So when we navigate that way, actually it's wrong. You can't get through there. So that's what we can do and we can't do for mobility issues. Now for hearing, people with hearing impairment, so what we have done, as shown in the VCR, we have to online, remote, like video call systems that typically connect our disability person to the teachers. I would say that teachers who can translate the sign language into the our oral language. Actually, that's a very easy thing to do, and there is no technical barrier for this one to implement, but we are actually the first one to do this. And for like the people with visual impairment, what we have done is, like we show in the VCR, the bus guide system. One big question is for the people with visual impairment is they cannot exactly get where the bus is, especially where the front door is. So actually we mounted a loudspeaker underneath the front door, and when people using our app near the bus, so the loudspeaker activated itself and say bus route 18 is coming, something like that. So they can hear the voice and they can find exactly, from the sound where it comes, they find the exact position where they should get on the bus. And for like sightseeing scenario, we use Bluetooth technology. We found some accessive devices, Bluetooth devices, everywhere in the garden or scenic spots. So we use an app. We use the Bluetooth in our cell phone to connect to the Bluetooth we have in there, and we told them where is the sightseeing spots, and they can feel this thing like we have seen them by our eyes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lee. The next question will be addressing to John. What role do neurodiverse individuals play in the design process? And how can their lived experiences be effectively incorporated into architectural design decision-making?
I think Dr. Lee is kind of promoting this idea of consultation. Because I think, let's look at the Chinese context. It's something that is, it's a slow burner. It's good that the legislation has been introduced a year ago, and there are groups in Suzhou, in Shanghai, and I think designers shouldn't view this as a kind of a thing to add on to their design. I think they need to make those consultations early on and have those consultation groups part of the design team. So you talked about the fact that there was nothing in the design brief. I think as designers, we have an ethical responsibility regardless of what's in the design brief. We have a responsibility to design for all, for everyone. So I think we should be the ones asking the questions and even pushing our clients, our customers, to have someone, these groups, as part of the design briefing process and testing the design so that there are none of these hidden surprises that you've pointed out. That by the time the building is constructed, it looks completely different and it's inaccessible. But there's also the societal thing as well, because there's still a problem of acceptance or awareness. You talk about, the provisions are made, but then the next time you turn up, there's a bollard there. So there's no longer a provision for disabled people, or the accessibility is gone. And that comes from a kind of a building management kind of point of view.
Actually, it's a very severe phenomenon especially in the renovation project. For example, when the subway station is being renovated, all the accessibilities may have gone. Yeah.
Thank you. Indeed, like John said, it's also our designers' responsibility to bring on the table this consolation. So I think we have a lot of audience that is our design industry, even though that this part of requirements are not in the design brief, it's definitely our job to bring it on the table and push that from our perspective as well. Right. So last question for Emanuela as well. What are some common design features that make garments more accessible for people with disabilities?
There are some features that are helping people, for example, with movement impairments. Some people with problem with fine motor skills, for example, they are struggling with buttons. And therefore, there are few companies around the world that are producing shirts with magnetic buttons or side openings for trousers. But as John was mentioning, as designers, we should think about designing for all. It's not something related to fashion usually, because fashion is not for everyone. I mean, if you follow the word fashion, it's exclusive, right? And everyone wants to appear different if you follow fashion and so on. So, and anyway, I'm not a fashion designer, by the way. I did work in some projects of garments, but as a product designer, I'm strongly convinced that we have to think about our projects, starting from probably the people that are facing more challenges, but then we have to design for everyone. So we have to design products that are accessible to everyone, that are easily accessible to people that are facing challenges, but they can be used by anyone. Otherwise, we are stigmatizing a person if we are designing a product for a disability, for example. Like in Italy, in the 80s, we used to have those orthopedic shoes that were ugly. So whenever you were having back issue and you had to wear those shoes, at that time you had no option, you had to wear those shoes. So everyone was making fun of you. So that is the point, avoiding this stigmatization, design a product that can fit, of course, might not be able to fit everyone, but most of us, and could give more benefit to some specific people that are maybe facing challenges or have specific needs.
Thank you very much, Emanuela. Actually, today's IDI talk is super inspiring. I've been invited as moderator for several years. I have to say, last panel also for industry design for the elderlies, and this panel, the architecture design and also garment design for people with disabilities is designed for inclusive design for all. So thank you very much for taking your time of your Friday afternoon to, if anybody would like to add something, or if anybody would have any questions to our speakers, you're very welcome to. John, sorry, yeah. Sorry?
We have
presentations. Okay, sorry, apologize. This would be the buttons for the turning page.
So I'll make this very quick. So the title we're talking about was developing an inclusive approach, because I know with my colleagues, I knew the subject content they were going to be looking at. And I wanted to start with this quotation. This is by the author Temple Grandin, who wrote this book, which was sharing her experiences of life as someone with autism. And she talked about, I'm different, I'm not less as an individual, which I think is really quite important. So to start with this idea of neurodiversity I talked about, it's any variation in the human condition in terms of their brain function, social function, learning attention, and so on. And we can at any time in our lives become neurodivergent. We can go through a period of anxiety or depression or whatever. We become limited in some way. There are a number of conditions that you might think about. Some you may have heard of: autism, ADHD is hyperactivity in children, particularly dyslexia, obsessive compulsive disorder. As I've said, probably many architects could be defined as OCD because we like things to be just so. It could be said that when we think of, for example, dementia is not strictly placed in the same category. However, dementia can share some of the cognitive challenges that may be evident in neurodiversity. My urge to you as designers is not to look at this as being a hindrance to your design or your creativity, but to actually look at this can actually add positive aspects to your design approach, particularly when you're talking to your clients. This idea of enhancing your market competitiveness can make you stand out, make this design stand out, increase the social impact that your client is portraying. That, especially in China, is incredibly important. So don't look at this approach as being something that is limiting and constricting. You asked a question about how can we as designers approach this idea. And there are a number of things. We all, as designers, deal with, whether it's we're dealing with product or space, we're dealing with a lot of these haptics, these proxemics, which are deal with touch, light, acoustics. And I would like you to think much more carefully at the conceptual stage of your design, to think much more carefully about some of the aspects that may be more inclusive in terms of your approach for people with disability, neurodiversity. I wanted to share very quickly, I wish the students were here, a couple of the works of students. Over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been running a design studio for undergraduate students in their final year. And this has been one of the most popular design studios for students to follow. And it was dealing with largely about body and space and how we respond to space. If this guy's CV lands on your desk, I recommend you grab it. Guanshan was dealing with a center for autistic children. And I think when you start to look at some of the issues that he was dealing with in terms of looking at the space, looking at light, looking at the use of color, looking at the kind of organization of space, he dealt with this in such a mature and sensitive way. For a young student, very professional. And I think you can see that in his planning, because this was a center which was made up of education, residential, social space. And how do you deal with such a large program in a way that an autistic child can handle all of these complexity of spaces? And by doing that around a central kind of street, which becomes a sort of social hub, and then looking at how these fingers of accommodation can then be handled and zoned, so the child isn't having to deal with the entirety of the architecture. It's been broken down into handleable parts. And this was materialized through into the facade and the use of materials. A contrasting approach, the same brief, this is done by Will or Xin Liang, and he dealt with the design in a much more childlike fashion. So it was, if we as designers can view the world through the eyes of a child, then that helps enormously. You remember, as a child, everything is new, every experience is new, and therefore everything is a learning experience. Will went on to win a UK International Design Prize for the drawings, for his approach to the communication of the architecture. And he was dealing very much with his idea of autism and using touch as the therapy, and how you can use that to gradually build the child's confidence and their ability to communicate with other individuals, which is one of the biggest complexities of the condition. In a similar way, breaking it down into individual parts. This work by Jing'an, she won the overall prize, International Design Award for her design. Again, this was for young people with anxiety disorders, very common in teenage children, teenage girls particular, in terms of how it manifests itself in terms of eating disorders, anxiety, but going back to actually analyze what is the root cause. So she was using a lot of kind of flowing forms, a lot of curvilinear facades. The relationship to the landscape was very strong, always views of the landscape, which is quite important. The landscape is one of the biggest kind of contributors to the healing process. Now, there's probably been about 100, 120 students have gone through this studio, and I can't show them all, but the range and the kind of approach the young people have taken to this design studio has, for me, been one of the biggest kind of joys, because I can then see that this younger generation, we have hope. There are a younger generation of designers who are gaining the sensitivity or showing the sensitivity to this issue and approaching this issue. So I say, if these guys' CVs land on your desk, then please grab it. So the world needs all kinds of minds, so we need to make sure we're designing for them. It would be a boring place if we were all the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So next presentation would be yours, Emanuela. Sorry, apologize for speaking that.
It's okay, no problem.
So you can click, if you can click, yeah.
Oops. Well, this presentation is about my journey into inclusive design. And this was the first sketch of a project. It was a concept, of course, an idea for a competition. It's almost 10 years ago, and I was part of a collective. We came across this competition funded by, supported by Lexus. The topic was senses. And at that time, my first daughter was 2-year-old, so I believe I was more sensitive towards some topics like autism, for example, you know? Sensory processing disorder. Sensory processing disorder is a condition that exists when sensory signals don't get organized into appropriate responses. This is part of the autistic spectrum. It does not belong only to autism, but people that are suffering of this condition are, according to the statistics of that time, I have to say, 1 in 68 children. You know, and sensory processing disorder is the fastest growing developmental disability. So the rate is increasing more and more. So this is causing anxiety, panic attack, depression, motor clumsiness, behavioral problems, school failure. So a lot of things. We do have therapies. So people that have the chance, kids that have the chance to be diagnosed, can receive some therapies, behavioral therapies, and improve this condition. So they can find their way to cope with this situation. Of course, depending on the case, there are the more severe cases and less severe cases. But anyway, at that time, we realized that there were some therapies, but most of the time related to the therapy center, the autism centers, and the idea was to make them more enjoyable, even playful. You know, we were trying to embed some therapies that could ease or activate senses into garments. So now what you see has been developed in 3 months, and it's a concept. It's not something that is wearable. As you were mentioning before, some of the projects sometimes are too experimental or they are not ready for the market. But from my perspective, the fact that we are talking about this topic here is already important, right? Because the more and more we talk about diversity, the better it is for everyone, I guess. Because speaking about diversity is not easy, right? No one wants to hear the word disability. Even our sponsor that time, these are just a few images, you know, how we try to use a material that was easy on the skin, with the neat cut, avoiding stitches, because stitches are painful for some people that are having issues with their senses. Sometimes they cannot stand labels or stitches. So some of these elements are activating senses and some are easing senses. I'm including this video because when we presented this concept, Lexus, that was supporting the project, didn't want to speak about disability. So we couldn't mention that we were addressing this project. So we had to find a way to present the idea. So we involved some artists that were somehow mimicking some emotions, you know. So this is the, we can play this video, is sort of performance dance that is mimicking daily life and emotions. Was a sort of compression vest that helps people with anxiety, some people with anxiety to calm down. This one is an inflatable jacket that works at the same way. There was an embedded pad that inflated, was creating pressure. Everything was very low tech and yeah, developed in a very short time. you.
Thank you very much for the presentations.
Not done.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, it's not finished.
Sorry, I don't want to take too long.
It seems like I rush you to finish.
Okay, yeah, it's just to continue my journey. Afterwards, we met a company that produced textile sensors. So we founded a startup. So the idea was to create an ecosystem of products, embedded technology. At the core of this system, there was a T-shirt with sensor. The sensor can detect the vital data of the wearer. Heart rate, breath rate. It's like an ECG, not ECG, like yes, I mean, it's detecting heart rate and breath rate. Not ECG, sorry, I'm getting confused. And, but anyway, the vital data were transformed into the activation of other parts of the collection, other garments. So the embedded inflatable part was activated based on a critical moment detected by the sensors. Or we developed also a communication tool. I will just go fast. Something that supports even non-verbal, because the problem with the kids suffering of autism is also that many of them are non-verbal. So they usually have some cards that supports their communication. So the idea was to detect some critical moment and communicate with the carer or with the therapist. So a sequence of things. We went through a variety of projects, and the idea was to start from the healthcare domain, working with, of course, not by ourselves as a designer, but in a team with doctor, therapist, families. So it's like a project that involves a lot of different disciplines. It's not just the designer work. One problem, one current problem is the micro-integration of the elements, embedding technology. And the second project that I'm presenting, I mean, working with disability, we realized that one problem that families are facing is the intimacy and sexuality. And since we were working into the field, we were also following influencer, right? Influencer with disabilities that are part of a movement that is called the body positive movement. And there were, in the recent years, people with disability that were kind of activists towards the body positive movement. So they were saying our different bodies are equal. And we want to equally feel like anyone. We want to feel sexy. We want to feel empowered, even by images. And many times, the images promoted through the social media of the people affected by disability were blocked compared to other people that are without disability. So I will be short. We develop a product that is supporting people with movement impairments to explore intimacy and be aware of their bodies, because there are some people that simply cannot be aware of their bodies because of some motor skills, basically. And speaking about, we can play this video. It's just showing the interaction between a pillow, because some people might be affected in their fine motor skills, but they have gross motor skills. So the idea was to combine the use of an external device to control the activation, internal activation of the body, on the body. So again, it's a project that is involving a big team, European funds, and yeah, I will just go back. And that we are continuing, because somehow the idea of, people with disabilities are not touched by anyone, right? Or it's difficult to get in touch or to connect with people, right? But somehow, moving to China, we realized that the problem is not related to disabilities only, right? People are more and more disconnected, right? Especially after and during the pandemic and after the pandemic, people are more and more by their own. The fact that also the population is aging and the people are by themselves, either the youth or the elderly, by the way, because the youth are leaving their families, going to the big cities, but still they have problem in connecting with other peers. 20 million people aged between 20 and 39 eat and sleep on their own in these big cities like Beijing, Shenzhen, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and they are developing psychological problems, right? So the idea is to connect more and more people or help them to train their body again and train the contact with others, you know? Delayed unions and procreation, pressure of work, reliance of virtual communication platforms are pushing youth to be single, to prefer singlehood, and basically there are no opportunities. So the idea is to support haptics through tools or garments even that are embedding haptics, that are training the body, and they are supporting people to become aware of their own body and physical aspects. That's it. Sorry if I was too long.
No, thank you for very informative presentations. I think they help us understand much more the topics. Thank you very much for your time. Like John said, to finish, none of us is normal, and we are all normal. So thank you.
Thank you.
Let's take a picture together, please. Thank you. Maybe we can take a step forward so you are in the light. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. The next talk will be the last talk of the day, and the topic will be successful inclusive design projects. 接下来的这个讲座呢，是今天的最后一场讲座。题目是包容性设计成功案例。And after this talk, there will be the opening ceremony of the 9th IDI Shanghai edition. 然后在今天最后一个讲座结束之后呢，会是我们这一届 IDI 上海展的开幕式。And please allow me to welcome our moderator, Veronica Janora, Senior Associate from Dandelion Legal Partners. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Clara. And good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure today to be here with you and to moderate this panel on successful inclusive design projects. So it is my pleasure to invite on the stage our guest, Mr. Pierluigi Gorgoretti, Mr. Paolo Guacchione, and Davide Angelibusi. So we sit here and you sit there. Prego.
Qua?
Sì, là. Ok. Qui dai, ci mettiamo qua. Così non copriamo
Un po' distanti.
Okay, so here we are to discuss about projects of inclusive design. We have some major representatives of companies and architectural firms with us that will show and will delve into this topic today. Mr. Pierluigi Gorgoretti, he's Managing Director at Itema Weaving Machinery China and General Manager of Itema Asia. Paolo Guacchione, Senior Associate and Senior Design Director at B+H SJ Group. And Davide Angelibusi, General Manager at FMMG Technical Textile Suzhou. So good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for being here tonight. And I would like to start first with our first guest, to Mr. Pierluigi Gorgoretti. I will let you the floor for your introduction and the introduction of Itema and the projects and the opportunities that Itema has to design and to create inclusive design projects.
Thank you, Veronica. Thank you for the IDI to give me the floor. So, Itema Group is a leading company in providing weaving solution from machines to spare parts and integrated service. The roots of Itema Group are in 1967 in a small city close to Bergamo, where the entrepreneur Gianni Radici created the company. And up to now, the company has been growing with merger and acquisition, acquiring a lot of those companies that were iconic during this year in the textile business. And today, Itema is a group of 1,000 people with a revenue of 300 million euro in 2023, and including 8 manufacturing facilities and commercial branches and trading companies around the world. We are present we have 4 manufacturing facilities, 2 in Italy, 1 in China, and 1 in Switzerland. And we are present in Turkey, of course, China, Italy, Japan, USA, and India, as well as Hong Kong for the Asia Pacific. I think the presentation is not going. Maybe we may. Okay. Okay, so these are the numbers. Something to say about Itema Group. Itema Group has been growing with textile, but during the year, as I said, we acquired companies. Until 2019, we decided also to diversify, moving horizontally into the textile business, acquiring companies for components. We acquired the companies, we created the companies for technical weaving, not only for traditional weaving. And one of the latest projects in industrial diversification is what you can see at the very end of the presentation is Teflon. Itema decided from textile to move into the biopharmaceutical industry, creating a joint venture in Italy with the Teflon, which is a giant in China for the biopharmaceutical products. Today, Itema, talking about China, we are located these are where we have the companies, as I was mentioning a few minutes ago. Itema China was born in 2002. We are in Songjiang. We have around 150 people with a revenue around 40 million euro last year. We serve China, we serve India, and some of the Asia-Pacific countries. We are vertically integrated with the world-class manufacturing facilities, and we produce looms directly here. Itema Group is the only companies that have 3 weft insertion technology. We have looms with the rapier technology, looms with airjet technology, and projectile technology. We cover most of the textile segments, trying to be present in with a large brand portfolio in every application that is existing in the market. Of course, the market is growing, and we always strive to go ahead. As a next step, these are all the brand portfolio that we have in Itema. Some of them are produced in China, some of them in Italy. In IDI today, we exhibit a 3D miniature of our best-seller loom that is called Galileo, together with an example of very exquisite fabrics produced with our loom that try to bridge the different cultures between India and China. We focus on weaving very precious and expensive yarns to produce those fabrics that goes into special garments for special occasion, for special events in people's life. I would like to introduce now our product, that is Galileo RX, that is featuring at the beginning of the exhibition, of course in a small miniature because the loom was too big.
To experience our times, to offer freedom of movement, to convey elegance, to enjoy special occasions, to live daily comfort. When fabrics intertwine with life, time lights up with emotions, and a new era of the weaving world comes to be. Look at the stars and discover Galileo RX, the weaving machine that you have always dreamed of installing in your weaving plant, perfectly balancing costs and perks to boost textile mastery.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pierluigi. Thank you very much for this introduction. And now I would like to leave the word and welcome again Paolo Guacchione.
Yeah,
I will let the floor
okay.
to you for your introduction. Thank you.
Okay. I like it to stand a little bit. So first of all, okay, we have a presentation today. First of all, I would like to say thanks to IDI and to invite I and our company to join this conference. I'm Italian. I try to add the value in our company, but our company is not Italian, unfortunately, but it is a Canadian company and a Singapore company. The topic of today is about successful inclusive design project. And the title for this speech today will be How to Foster Inclusivity and Create a Successful Inclusive Workplace. Okay, next. Oh, I forgot to have it there. Okay, so which one? Yeah. Okay, first of all, I'm Paolo, I'm Italian, designer, architect, interior designer, and I'm in China for more than 12 years now. And this is some introduction about our company. Our company is more than 14,000 employees in all over the world, our group. And we like to kind of explore all the kind of fields of design. And our office is all over the world. SJ Group, because we belong to a big family. SJ is a Singaporean company. Is a 13 rank on the top 100 architecture in the world. And we are B&H, among the 50 in interior design in the world, ranked by Intern. This is more or less what we do in some part of our like fields of our project is mainly about corporate headquarter. With some very well-known client like Tencent or other project like ZTE or some other company. There might be a video now, just a very quick video about B&H. Okay, so now just very quickly, I wanted to have a little bit of sharing about our inclusivity and our opinion about inclusivity. When we are designer, we always start with a question. The question is the future of workplace changing? This is a question. What do you think? Is changing or not? Then we go to, first of all, when we talk about who is actually our guest, who is the users of our project, is mainly about the generation. We always targeting generation X and generation Y. And those generation, here we can see more or less the workforce in the world. The most part of the generation is the generation X and generation Y that are actually populating the workplace all over the world. So we needed to targeting those kind of guests and understand their needs. And first question is, what is inclusivity? Inclusivity is the theme of today, right? But for the Cambridge Dictionary is including someone as a part of the group and let them feel they are included. But here is a very quick sketch to let you understand. Here is exclusion when some group, they are outside independent. Segregation group, they are divided by our group, the other group. And integration, you actually accept other people, but still, there is the strength of the group. Inclusivity, inclusion is where everyone belongs and feel the sense of belonging of a group. And then this one is one sentence very important. Now inclusion in the future shouldn't not be anymore something special, but in a truly inclusive workplace, no one will feel different from the other because everyone don't need to feel different anymore. And then we go to who, why, having inclusive workplace is important in the future. It's important because everyone is unique. And as well, the company, here many of you have a company, very large company, and we need to understand that to be inclusive means that you can attract the talent, you can promote creativity, you can be more successful, and you can change the world. This is what the bigger company they started to need to understand about inclusivity. And who should promote? I just mentioned the organization. The company organization is the first one that they need to change in the workplace, the idea and the logic on how the workplace live. And why the culture is very important in the company. How the organization transfer their company, their culture and their value is one of the most important things. So we need to take care about identity, language, value and behavior. And then is how we can shape inclusive workplace. We can connect the experience, we can talent retaining, we can inspire and have culture. We can have intelligent workplace, and then we can have a healthy working environment. When we talk about connected experience, we need to connect the people, technology, because now technology is very important, and the place. And this is one most important topic is about the community. We, in the workplace, especially large campus, we needed to create a community. And this is, for example, some of our projects, how we try to create this community, create a vibrant design with some inspiration to create a people engaging. Also, creating physical health is very important for the employee to feel in the space that can actually improve their physical health. For example, this is one project we did in Tencent in Shenzhen, and many of you know this project. And the idea is to create a community in the two big bridges that you just saw from the architecture. And in this bridge, we allocated the main, highest place for climbing. We have also some gym with the run track on the second floor. And then we have also some gym and some basketball for badminton. This is a way to improve the physical health of the workplace employee. And lastly is the mental health. The mental health is very important as well because the people needed to feel mentally free and mentally happy to live in the workplace. And this is in some project we allocated some band room, we have some nap room, we have some mini golf. So how we can improve the mental health, creating different space for different people, for inclusive people. And then, just to finish, is we need to take care about humanity, flexibility, and experience. This is the three main key to creating inclusive workplace, because inclusion is not anymore the right things to do, but is the smart things to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for giving us this overview. We understand that being an architect, the inclusion, the idea of inclusion and of preparing and studying a project is something that should be considered in the beginning when the project is started. So it's very important, I think, in your profession. We will dig into a little bit more later. Now I would like to let the floor to Davide Angelibusi. As we said, General Manager at FMMG Technical Textile Suzhou, for your presentation and the presentation of your company. Thank you.
Hello to everyone. And first of all, before start, I would like always say thanks to the organization. It's always a pleasure to be part of this great event. I still remember years ago, even during our time of COVID, which kind of adventure we did in order to join this, and it's nice to see how this event year by year growing. And for Film and Made, a company, small, medium-sized company like a Film and Made, is always a pleasure be represented here together with such kind of important brand that we can see in this kind of room. So thanks also to Carlo, to Anna, and so on for the organization. Coming to our company, Film and Made, we are a spinning company. So our product is a yarn, And we are a manufacturing company that born in 1972 in Italy by the idea of Mr. Pietro Parodi, that unfortunately passed away some years ago. He's the founder, and now the company is in the hand of Mr. Andrea Parodi, that is our CEO. And our company is a little bit different from the classic textile industry, because we are focused in a niche market that we call technical textile, and that include many different kind of applications that now we can see here represented. We have the possibility, this fortunately help us also a lot in this kind of period where the economy maybe is not the best, because we can work in different kind of sector. Our main core business is the one that we see here in the corner in the right, that is related to PPE, the personal protective equipment, where we produce yarn for the protection of people starting from firefighting or army and going down until the normal industry. Another core business that we have is in the top of the left, that is we call outdoor business, and include all the awnings, but in particular also furniture that we usually keep our door for decorated our garden, or even simply you can see outdoor some restaurant, or here in China like in the Starbucks, or somebody stay outside. In the middle we have all the other application like the filtration, or all the word that we call flame retardant, in particular for the public space, like hotels, theater, cinema, or so on. All the public area that require a very high standard for flame retardant resistance. And also another business very important, in particular in the recent period, is also in the healthcare. Later we will see also how we work in this kind of area. Now, this slide is a little bit to represent what a company like us can do. Before Mr. Paolo here in front of me show you some final application, design, some final result of project. And we believe that company like us is equally important. In fact, we define ourselves in the kind of line called Hidden Champions, because we cannot see that final result if there is not something before in the supply chain. And ourselves, we are at the very beginning of the supply chain of the textile. No? And going a little bit in the topic of the sustainability, our company can do a lot for support the sustainability. For example, before I mentioned the filtration system, just for mention one, I can stay here all day to mention example. But today is important the pollution. We are going to the green energy. We are going to the electric vehicle. And the technical textile can support all the technical application that are moving to the sustainability. There is also a lot of other application, but later probably we have time to go on when we have the open discussion about this. This is some of the trend that is going to request to our kind of market in order to improve time by time. No? I don't go to discuss about each of it. Later again, also this we will have time to make example of inclusivity, sustainability, that is the two main topic of today. But I just would like to give you a simple example of what does it mean history in the textile. I believe everybody know this, but not every day we can think about this. Several years ago, thousands of years ago, textile means in particular or even only natural fibers like a cotton, wool, what we can find in the nature. And step by step we include something like a chemical, and we include a new fiber. And this help to improve the technical properties of our fabrics, and help the world to go on, to improve. For example, if today, some years ago, the humans arrive on the moon, it's because the textile improve in the protection and so on. At the same time, today we have another trend that is a little bit changing, because in terms of sustainability in particular, we are trying to decrease the chemical of the product. And this is a little bit an internal battle because if from one side, of course, this is a correct requirement because we need to improve our world. From another side, we need to pay maximum attention to reach the right balance between what we can do and what is necessary to do, because otherwise, anyway, we never can lose the final focus that is, for example, in the technical textile, the personal protective equipment. In particular, we need always keep the protection of the people. So this we need always keep this kind of balance in our work. This is also some kind of trend. Later, I will go more deeply in this. But talking again about innovation in this case, starting from the raw material, where in particular we are going in the trend of the recycle, of the biotechnology, and step by step we arrive until the smart fabric. This will be an important topic because in the era of the artificial intelligence and the technology, the role of the smart fabric, in particular, connect to the inclusivity is very important. Anyway, later we will go on in this kind of explanation. For introduction of the company, I would like to close here. Anyway, we have our stand here in the beginning of this room. So later on, you can take much more information, or you can contact me anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Davide. And now I would like to have a few words together with Pierluigi, Paolo, and Davide also on to know a little bit more what inclusivity means for your companies and how you apply it in your products and in your project. Pierluigi, we saw that ITEMA is present in Italy, in Switzerland, but also in China and in India. This means that when you sell your products in different countries, inclusivity may be seen also from that point of view. So from dealing with different people, with different cultures, and in your case with different textiles, for example. So when ITEMA has to design the products, and in particular the Galileo RX that is shown here, of course you have to also engineer and meet the specific needs of the local textile producer. So you should consider a product that can be applied to various cases. Of course, fabrics in India, for example, we have saris, which are made of a certain type of textile, and textiles in China, which are also different. How ITEMA tried and achieved to incorporate inclusivity in this product?
Okay, thank you, Veronica. The question is very large. I will start by talking about weaving. Let's say in the textile supply chain, weaving represents a kind of cornerstone, the connection between the upstream world that actually Davide and Gelibuzzi represent for some parts, and the downstream parts, that is the garment, and that is the fabric, that is the garment, arriving to the people. So we are the one, together with other players, of course, but we are the one of the leading companies that takes the yarns, processed upstream, and transform into a fabric. Once we do this process, we have the privilege to understand what and also we look at what the final customer is looking for, what the weavers are looking for. And this is very important for our design, because ITEMA try, from a strategic standpoint, to be present in every single applications that is available in the market. We want to incorporate in our technology, in our loom, every single application that is in the market. And how we do that? As I was introducing the company, I told you that Itema was born by a lot of merger and acquisition of iconic companies that along the years have filled the ecosystem of the textile business. I could mention some companies like Sultec, Promatec. These companies are all embedded inside the Itema design, inside the Itema loop design. All experiences, all applications are inherited by the original design of Itema, and then we push it forward through the new applications. And once we look ahead to where these fabrics are going to be used, and we look at the traditional fabrics, like the one we are exhibiting here, that is silk, we look at how the people are going to use it. What is important is the touch, how many colors we need to put there, how big should be the fabric in order to be useful for the people who are going to make the garment. So we try to be present in every single application and incorporate all these things inside our design. These represent inclusivity for us. We try to be specialized in some segments, but also we try to be pioneer in some other. In technical fabrics, we are experiencing now the technical fabrics. We want to understand how to be present in those kind of segments. So all these things, our heritage and the needs of the weavers are incorporated in our design. Itema Loop is recognized in the market like the most versatile and the most flexible for the weavers. This is because we include the experience of the past together with our strive to be the natural choice of each single weaver, each single application that is in the market. Another element that is important for us is to be able to communicate with each partner in the market. Itema Loom is a completely open platform from a mechanical standpoint, but mostly also from a software standpoint. We do not exclude anybody. Local partner, Indian partner are welcome to be connected with our loom in order to grow, in order to give what the specific weaver, the specific consumer is willing to have. So the open platform, the heritage of the experience of the previous companies, the strategic strive to connect all the different applications are the heart of our design. And one last point that is very important for us is that we are close to each single customer. In China, we have an extensive network of customer service people that understand, sometimes we don't, but most of the time, yes, what the customer wants, and we try to incorporate this in our design. This is one of the key of success for which Itema Loom are recognized as one of the most flexible, versatile, and inclusive looms in terms of different segments that we can use in the textile world.
Thank you. This is definitely, I believe, the key that brought Itema to success in the market because of your versatility and ability to meet the need of the client and not to stuck to a product that cannot include the requirements. So thank you very much. Paolo, before we were discussing, we saw all the great projects that your firm has worked at and the project and that mostly enhanced inclusivity. We were saying that when you create, when you study, when you begin a project, inclusivity should be something that must be considered in the beginning. But of course, there must be difficulties, barriers to foster an inclusive workplace. Would you like to share with us which are these difficulties and barriers?
Yes, sure. This is a good question. I think that when you saw the presentation before, I can just make an example with our group. Our group is a very large group, and we have more than 14,000 employees. in all over the world. And B&H have office in Toronto, Vancouver, in Singapore, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Dubai, and SJ Group in India, in Bangladesh. So very different worldwide company. We are a very big family. So what I feel that the barrier, one of the most common barrier, which is the simple one. The simple one is about the culture, I feel. We all come from different culture. We all have a different background. We all think we belong to different people, different place. So this is one of the biggest barrier, in my opinion. The language also is barrier. The main culture, the religion can be a barrier. So what we can do to avoid this one? For example, in our company, we organize several town hall, global town hall, can be online. So from Singapore, one day from Shanghai, when the CEO is traveling. So he's trying to create a community. Okay, somehow it's still online, this community, but we try to break this barrier. We also cooperate in project together. And when we cooperate in project together, we have a meeting. So we kind of, design is a very open discussion because design, in my opinion, there is a design that works and design that is not working. Then everyone like a different design. So when we talk about a design with other office, we might have different understanding. This is a way to break the barrier because we gain the trust between us. Gain the trust is the best way to destroy the barrier because we know that if we say something, we are not afraid that someone actually is pointing the finger on you that you say something. You should be free to speak out your opinion. And this is very important, especially I feel that in a design company, this is most difficult, but at the same time, when you try to break this barrier, then everything will be more smooth and very open.
Amazing, thank you. Thank you. And Davide, instead you were saying before that Film Unmade is a hidden champion because you are a segment within the supply chain that support the production of final products that are well recognized in the market. But when we talk about yarns for technical textile application, for you and for your industry as well, what do you think is a successful inclusive project?
Thanks for the question. Is like your question already described a little bit what is our job, and here today we represent a part of the supply chain. So, like you said, we mainly able to support them to create something, because at the end I'll use to improve. Anyway, in particular about the inclusivity I mentioned before a little bit in my presentation, I think we can do something even, let me say, ourselves, and we are able to create something that is really inclusive for, in particular, the world of the healthcare. Today, we are following some project with some university and some also fiber supplier, raw material supplier, for try to develop what is the smart yarn or the smart fabric. Today is very important try to support people with some disease and have the possibility to develop some smart yarn, help to support this kind of people in the daily life, and help them to be 24 hours under control without maybe need to go in hospital, without the need to wear some particular device, for example, just some simple example to monitor the blood pressure or these kind of things. Today we see also the smartwatch, some device like this, But in the future, we are able also to do this in the textile. So in our maybe t-shirt, in some special product, and this will be, I believe, very helpful to support this kind of people. And this, again, is just one example, but we can stay here all day to discuss where we can bring this kind of innovation step by step. I took this one, is the first one, and because our company is working in this, but I believe that there is many other ideas that can be developed in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. So not only we've traveled around the world with Pierluigi and Paolo seeing the projects, but we had a jump also in the future to see what will be in the coming years, the evolution also of the society and of the products that should, of course, adapt to society. So thank you very much. Today we are not just talking about inclusivity, but also sustainability, which of course is one of the hot topics and trends that we are discussing nowadays. Especially sustainability is very discussed also in the textile segment because we know for all the reasons that textiles segment is nowadays try to foster sustainability projects. So Pierluigi, how ITEMA is contributing sustainability in all the process of weaving production?
Okay, the sustainability is one of the pillars, of course, in our design. We need to move forward in developing even more solutions. But I would say we are approaching the sustainability in different ways. In terms of technical solutions, we have introduced some years ago one groundbreaking innovation in the weaving technology, and we are keeping developing that. We are talking a device that is a mechatronic device. We will have a video for that after a few minutes. This device allows the weavers to save the yarns. Is actually a feature, a device that reduces the wastes, and of course this is good for for savings, but also for reducing the impact of waste. If we look at the fabric that is woven into the loom, this device that is called, by the way, iSaver, it helps to reduce the waste salvage, which is the free yarn that is not connected into the fabric at the very end of the fabric. That one, if you look at the fabric after that is woven, normally is 2 or 3 centimeters or 1.5. This part is actually a waste, because in the moment the fabric goes in the market, in order to be to the garment industry, this part is cut and is wasted. With this device, we are able to save the majority of this part that contributes to a saving for the weaver, because it's going to save about the yarns, because the yarns are paid by kilogram, of course, and we also reduce the waste that is thrown away from the weaver. We have a video for that, but before the video, I also want to say that sustainability is very important, also because ITEMA, as I was mentioning before, with the fact that it's very versatile and flexible, allows the weavers to use the looms with different kind of fabric and different kind of yarns that does not require a lot of setup, or also in some cases to changing the loom. This is also a way to approach sustainability in giving something more flexible and more with a bigger operating windows to the weavers, so that they reduce the setup time and avoid to buy a different feature or a different loom. But let's move to the iSaver. We have a small video that is introducing this device that we are actually now using in many applications. Thank you. So this device was originally developed for denim fabric, where the waste of cotton is very high. And along the years, in 2023, we also introduced for more fancy fabric up to 6 colors. So we are able to save the waste, the left waste salvage up to 6 colors. That means up to 6 different yarns into on the website of the fabric. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It is important, as we said, to integrate inclusivity and sustainability. And I will stay again with Davide, because maybe you can also, just to stay on the topic of inclusivity and sustainability, share Film and Made how integrate these 2 aspects.
But today we must always pay maximum attention to this topic, because it's one of the trends in the world. I mentioned before that anyway, in particular for us, that we are in the very technical application, we never need to lose the focus for the final aspect, because, for example, today there is many trends, not only related also the sustainability, but also related the comfort. And if we stay in the topic of the firefighting, that is a little bit our specialization, today more and more the people during the work, they want to wear comfortable. They even want to wear fashion sometimes a little bit. But at the end, the main focus is that the firefighter, when he go to do his job, he can back at home safe and possible without hurt himself and save maybe also the other life. So this is the compromise that is always hard to reach. In fact, sometimes in our process that we are at the very beginning of the supply chain, we try to think if the sustainability is really sustainable. Because today we have many trends, but the recycled material sometimes is even more expensive than the normal material. Sometimes try to go all around this kind of innovation and trend, have very big expensive. But at the end, again, we need to keep a focus also on the final result. Okay, so this is a little bit our job, to keep a balance and to transfer outside the real meaning of sustainability, innovation, but without the focus what is also really important for us, that is save life and protect the people from hurt or from any other kind of accident.
Absolutely. This is a very important point that you raised, and thank you very much. Paolo, we had some examples in which you could measure. Pierluigi was talking about sustainability and inclusivity, and especially with this new device that makes their products more sustainable, they can value, have a result, quantify the better results that they can achieve. In one of project like yours, like an architectural project, you aim to achieve a result which is inclusivity, but sometimes it is not so easy to evaluate the final outcome, the final result. So how in your projects you evaluate and you can consider a project successful under the inclusivity point of view?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. It's kind of like a borderline, as you said. It's not very easy to quantify a successful interior design. Let's say this one. If we talk about sustainability, very simple. We have some like award, like a LEED and WELL, that they can actually certify, which is like the sustainability grade that the office can reach. So we have like is related to the lighting, related to the biophilic design. So this is pretty easy. But as you say, when we go to the inclusivity, How is possible to quantify this one? In general, there is a new index which has been kind of like introduced recently. Is called Workplace Performance Index. You can quantify it, and it is a mix between something very practical, which include functionality, flexibility, the usage of the space, and another part which is the human experience. So in this workplace index, performance index, actually the company, they can use a survey actually to ask the different employee what they feel about the workplace. And the question that we can find, they are not only related to what they feel in terms of like heat, in terms of light, in terms of functionality or flexibility, but it's a question that also they touch the more kind of like I like to call it like a romantic sphere, the human side, like what they feel when they get inside. They feel warm. They feel welcome, they feel excited, they feel stress. So you can actually use adjective to kind of like quantify what is your feeling when you get inside the office. Because at the end of the day, we do nice space, we do nice design, whatever we want, but it's always in our mind, this one. At the end of the day, our goal is to transform the workplace from a place where the people have to go for some place where the people would like to be. So this is what we try to do in our company.
Thank you. And I think that the meter that is used to get the certification, which is the survey among the employees, it's inclusivity at its best, because of course everyone has the possibility of say their feeling and their words. So I would like to thank you all the guests. I think we are close to the end of this panel of this evening. Thank you very much, Pierluigi, Paolo, and Davide for being with us and for this interesting discussion about the inclusivity project. Now I will let the microphone to Clara, and I hope you enjoy the exhibition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Please take a picture together.